one. Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, Crockett Cup week in the NWA. Unfortunately, my normal co-host, Fiona Loughran, is doing mum duties, so she is not available to be here. So it's just me. But the good news is I do have a great replacement. Some may say a five-star replacement, an athlete from the NWA, the five-star athlete, Ruthie Jay. Ruthie, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Ruthie, look, NWA Crockett Cup, it's one of the most prestigious cups. I know there's no women's one yet, and more on that, because I have a question for you about that in a minute. But this week, it seems to be a very big week for the NWA. If you look at the people that are coming into the NWA, even if it's just for autograph signings like El Hebner, Gal Kim, the Tonga twins are making their NWA debuts. Natty Neidhart's going to be there. Hammerstone, sorry, is going to be there against Frillbilly. It's seemingly a massive weekend for the NWA.
It looks like they are doing big things. Like, I'm very happy for the company, but I have an announcement. I want this to be the first I want it to be the first to say it, probably out loud or like somewhere. I'm like, okay, I am no longer with the NWA.
Okay, when did so we last? I think we last saw you the empty arena match, I believe. If
Yeah, that was the last time I was featured on NWA was the MT Arena match. It was a fun experience. I got to work Rosa, finally got to put an end to that feud. But after that, I was like 2025, I've been done now. I think like for like a month.
Wow, so that is it. So, bit of an exclusive, no longer with the NWA. Let's just quickly brief over talk about the time there, then, because then we'll get on to what you're doing and what you've got coming up. So, with that, I mean, obviously, you took on some of the greats in the NWA. You had Camille, you took on Kenzie Page, and the women's division in the NWA seems to be going from strength to strength, even though you're not in there. But do you take some great memories from that? And of course, people like Jazz who help in the background.
Oh, Jazz was amazing. Like that's one person that definitely helped the women's division a lot. Especially when I got there, like I didn't like understand a lot that was going on because it was like my first time understanding like show production, how to be on your times and everything. Because it's very different from the indies. Like you're working television in a way, so you have to be more clean, more polished. So Jazz is like the perfect person that helps out like every woman and like she's amazing.
She certainly is, and I think she's coming on the show very, very soon, actually, which would be good to
Oh, that's great.
speak to. Yeah, that would be great. But let's just talk about you now, and obviously without the NWA. So I won't say, don't say free agent because you technically are, because there wasn't. I don't think
I
there was.
am a free agent. I am the hottest free agent. I'm the five-star free agent, Ruthie Jay.
There you go. So now we've changed it. It's the five-star free agent,
That is
Ruthie
right.
J. And are you still the CCW Women's Champion?
I am still the reigning CCW Women's Champion. 600 days now. I'm like, wow, it's been that long.
That
Went
is
by
a
fast.
huge amount of time. Oh, nearly what, coming up to 2 years as the CC.
Almost, right.
2 years.
Like, I think I won my title around the same time Kenzie won her title. So, like, she's about to be 2 years too.
Yeah, she's 2 years. I think NWA 70. I want to get it mixed up. I think it's
Five.
77.
I think so. Five.
So I think she won it. Yeah, it's a good few years ago now. But yeah, you're right. Coming up to 2 years, both of you as champion. I do want to ask though, because earlier on this year, I think it was literally the week before the empty arena match aired. You defended that championship, but you defended it against a good friend of ours from the UK, that being Northwest Strong's Rio. When you got in there against Rio, did you find out just how good the British women are over in over in the States?
I see how intense they are. Like they hit hard. They are very intense. I love it. I really want to go to like the UK and wrestle. Like that's one of the goals of mine in wrestling because like their style is so hard hitting. It makes me feel alive. Like, oh my gosh, they don't hit you like how the American girls hit you. They hit you like harder. So it's just like, okay, all right, you want to hit hard? I can hit hard too. And then we can go.
That is interesting. See, well, funny enough, the Hit and the Turnbuckle have a women's championship over here in the UK. So if you're, wanting to get over here and there's a title opportunity, then maybe we can make that happen and you can
Make
come and have
it
a shot.
happen. You gotta have the 5-star athlete over there.
We do. We do need five-star athletes over there, and we have a very strong women's division over here. And you've probably taken on the best that we've got in Rio, or arguably the best that we've got
Amazing.
anyway.
She's great.
She's great. Training with Natty Neidhart was recently a part of the WWE tryouts, which brings me to a question. Obviously, being a free agent is, um, I always ask this question, and obviously, when I ask this question about your goals and aspiration or where you would like to wrestle, we get the same answer. So I'm going to slightly change it. I do want the answer to that question, as in what countries would you like to wrestle in? But as a secondary question, a country that perhaps isn't an obvious one, maybe that you'd like to wrestle because this city itself, I think, is beautiful or the scenery is beautiful, on top of the usual countries that you'd like to wrestle in.
Maybe Spain
Oh, yeah.
or Japan.
Yeah. Spain or
I'd want to
Japan.
wrestle Japan or Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, Spain's good. Actually, British company Revolution Pro Wrestling go over to Spain quite a bit to do some of their shows. Some of the better new European talents have come from Spain. But Ruthie, in terms of like your career now, and you look back and you're still very, very young into the business as well.
My
What
body says otherwise, but okay.
That's good to say. That may the body may say otherwise. But when you look at it so far, and you look at perhaps where you want to go. How far along that journey are you?
Honestly, my goal was to get signed to a wrestling company before I was 25, and now I'm 25, and now I'm leaving my first wrestling contract. So I think I'm ahead of the goal that I set out for myself originally. Like now, I already had my first contract. I know what a contract is like. I know what it's like to be under contract with a major company. I know like what to look out for while you're under contract with a major company, and I know like I have more experience to do like what's I have more experience to navigate what's next because like with NWA, it was great to like experience everything so young. So when I'm older, I don't make the same mistakes or I'll know how to move like smarter.
Yeah, no, indeed. That's a very good point to make actually, because you do, I suppose, under contract there is certain things that perhaps people don't know that you have
Yeah.
permission for, right?
Yeah, that and just certain things that people don't understand until you like see it backstage and how people operate, how companies operate. You don't understand it until you're a part of the company. You can only try to understand it when you're on the outside, but when you're on the inside, you see it for yourself and you know what to look out for.
Yeah, definitely lessons learned and things that you take under the wing, ready for that next contract. I do want to ask though, and because as we just mentioned a minute ago, the last time that you were on the NWA, it was the empty arena match. Now, obviously with
They
COVID,
did a disservice to me and Rosa. We should have been in front of people.
it
They
should have
did.
been.
It should have been in front of people. You ask me, I don't book this show. I don't know why it was in front of people. It wasn't that many women wrestling to begin with. I just wish it was in front of people, but it was new to like not wrestle. It was a challenge to not wrestle in front of people. You definitely had to control your breathing, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say like because obviously during the COVID years when people there was wrestling still on and it was in front of maybe a select few and stuff like that. And I remember I think one of the only other sort of empty arena matches I remember seeing growing up, I think it was The Rock and Mick Foley or Mankind in maybe. And I think they'd done like a halftime thing in Super Bowl. I think that was something like
I
that.
think they did do an empty arena match like in '99 or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. But you mentioned the breathing there as well. And, without pulling the curtain back too much of wrestling, do you have to be careful what you're saying as well?
Luckily, we have hair, so I could just be like, hey, watch the line, take another line. Or I could be like, hey, take a hard buckle. Like I have hair. Like especially like if I have them close or if I have them like in a submission where it's close base, I can just talk to them. I have
That
hair.
the benefits of having hair, guys.
Yeah. Like women don't use it. And I'm like, what? Use it to sell, use it to call spots. Like women with experience use it. Like, but you're new, you don't think.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting thing actually to think about using hair because I know one woman that does use hair in wrestling to as a weapon was Bianca Belair.
Oh my God. I can imagine getting hit with that thing. Oof.
You hear it. I mean, geez, that sounds as bad as one of the chops that you get from like Gunther or someone like
I'd
that.
rather chop any day than
Yeah,
Bianca Belair.
yeah, exactly. I certainly would anyway, that's for sure. That sounds
It sounds like
it just sounds awful. Um, but that's a point actually, because you mentioned the goals and aspirations, but Ruthie, in terms of like if you had a right now, if someone said to you, Ruthie, right now, tomorrow you're gonna have, I don't know, a fatal four-way, you get to pick the three women from now that you know that you want in that match. Who you put in the five-star athlete in there with?
anyone at all.
Yeah.
Definitely EO. It'll be
Mhm.
me, EO, Bianca. Maybe just me added to that women's triple threat match.
Io, Bianca, Rhea, Ruthie.
Yeah.
That
I
sounds
feel
pretty
like
cool.
I feel like that would just be because all three of them already have great chemistry together. Just add me in there.
We have a four. There you go. Fatal four way.
Yep.
WrestleMania 42. Would that
Or
be that?
replace Rhea with Naomi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. You got to be cautious around Naomi now, though.
Oh
She's
yeah, or proceed with caution, you know.
proceed with caution.
I love it.
She's one though. What I like about that, and actually someone else that you took on quite recently, I think, Ash by Elegance, Dana Brooke, the people that know from WWE. What I've liked about that, and even a bit about the NWA and other areas, is sometimes a character doesn't work in a promotion, right? It's one of those things. For whatever reason, don't get enough time, they don't invest in them. Ash is one of those ones that have gone to TNA, has got a character that perhaps suits her more than a WWE character. They've given her time, they've given her on TV every week that people can start to understand her character, how she works. And she's transformed into this great, well, not even a great wrestler because she is, but we just never see it. That's something really important though about being selective about where you go next to make sure that you don't sort of get pushed to the side or have that TV time so you can introduce yourself to the crowd and have the crowd being believable in you.
You're absolutely right. And I feel like that's was one of those things that was just like missing when I was at NWA. Like, at the end of the day, you do have to pay your dues, which I understand, but it's like you also can't just be happy to be there because you're
No.
wasting time. You're wasting time. And it's like there's no time placed on developing my character or giving me time to show who Ruthie J, the 5-star athlete, could be. And it's like, if you're wasting time and you're still young, what's the point? Like, there's other avenues you can go to, other places you can try that'll help you, you know, discover that character, make that character better. Like you said with Dana Brooke slash Ash by Elegance, a company didn't see it, another company did. It's like you have to choose which one is worth your time, just like how they have to choose who's worth their time. At the end of the day, it's a business, and you can't just be happy to be here.
No, exactly. I think one of the things that I've learned from, and I've only been watching NWA a few years. Fiona, my co-host, watched it since way back. Is because obviously everything's taped. You tape 5, 6 shows in one go. Sometimes you're on TV once, and then it's like 2 months before we see you again. And I'm not saying
Sometimes
you forget about them, but because it's hard from a storyline perspective, isn't it?
it's hard for any perspective. I don't even know what's going on anymore, and I work there. I just don't know. There's a lot of things I don't understand, but it's not for me to understand.
Hmm.
I have to move on and just let it be because it's like if it's not benefiting me, the person that I'm here for, then why I can question it. I can
Yeah.
ask why, but it's like that's not gonna do anything. That's not gonna feed me. That's not gonna pay my rent. That's not gonna do anything for me.
No, exactly. It's just I just find it, now I think now I know you ain't watching it. Now they have been doing like select few are kind of like on every week, even if it's just like a promo or something like that. But yeah, I always found that way. Like I was enjoying watching wrestler or enjoying watching somebody, and then it would be ages before we'd see you again.
Like then you're like uninterested at that point. You don't even remember the last thing they said or did. Like sometimes I would have a match, I don't even remember it. Like I get hit in the head a lot, so it's just like I promise you, I'm not gonna even remember.
No, it's a difficult thing, and that's where the basis of obviously your next contract that's coming up, wherever that may be, hopefully being on weekly television, you get to adapt to A, their style and the way that they work, and B, to be able to, as I said, introduce that character and get that connection, because that's the other important thing, isn't it? The fans have to you have to connect, and you're not going to connect with fans that you're not seeing regularly.
Exactly. And for me, I wanted to be someone that they could connect with because, like people want to say this all the time and not mean it or not understand because they never were in that position. But representation matters. Like
Mm.
if you see someone that looks like me wrestling and there's not anybody else that, looks like me, they would want to do it too. Be like, oh, she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
You know, like representation matters. It really does, especially when it's a majority of people doing something and you finally see somebody that looks like you doing it too, you know?
yeah, exactly that. No, exactly that. I must ask though, because looking at women's wrestling in general, not just NWO, we're talking, broad spectrum everywhere in America, not just in America, but I see it now as we've got to get to a point for me, and this isn't trying to split genders or anything like that, but I just think the standard of women's wrestling right now is really, it's kind of getting to a stage where you kind of need your own weekly show. Like, I don't know, something along those lines, because the talent pool is just ridiculously good. And I think that even in the top, even in the WWEs and the AEWs, yes, you see the women's wrestling and it's great. I just don't think it's still represented enough on television. I do think we get to that stage now where it needs its own television show.
I would say yes. I would because there is so much talent in the women's division everywhere. AEW, WWE, TNA, NWA, everywhere. And anywhere you go, the women's talent is just killing it. Japan, like, so it's like it's become so popular. I don't want it to lose its monopoly a little bit. I want it
Mm,
to stay a monopoly about how, like, because if it's just like men's wrestling, if you see it all the time, it's just men. It loses how special it is. So
yeah.
I understand what you mean. Like we should, because there's so many. But I
Mm.
just love how special it is because when you see it, it's just like, oh, we don't see it often, you know?
Yeah. No, exactly. And maybe it's one of those things where if you then see it too often, as you say, repetition.
Exactly. Because it's like, you know how after 2018,
Mm.
everybody wanted to have the same kind of matches. You never noticed that?
Oh,
After
yeah.
after seeing one person have this match, everybody was trying to have that one same match. You know what I'm. So it's like it's kind of the same thing with wrestling in general. Like we're all gonna see the same kind of women all the time. There's only so much things you can do that are new, that are old, that are new.
Yeah.
So it's just like I feel like I would want women's wrestling to stay special, not overexposed like the men's wrestling has. Because now men can't even get a pop and they'll be breaking their neck.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially with the way, as you mentioned about the way wrestlers or the way they work now. I mean, my biggest issue over here in the UK is every match is wrestled like under strong style rules. And I kind of miss that variety that you would get. So on a wrestling show, WCW was a prime example. When that was around, you had the cruiserweight division. So you'd get a cruiserweight match on a Nitro. You would get your heavyweight match. You would get a tag team match. There was variety and there was different styles. But even over here and even in Europe now, the styles are kind of like we got a cruiserweight lucha star, but he's wrestling strong style. And it's just like I need that differentiate and that difference in wrestling to keep me focused and entertained in what I'm watching. So you kind of
Right.
hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah. I feel like I explained it pretty well.
You did. No, you absolutely did. And I totally agree with it because, as I said, for me, I need that variety in watching shows. Because if it's too samey, the channel just goes.
Right.
I went, I went,
Even on the indie circuit, like sometimes there's only one women's match, or if you're lucky too, it's a sausage fest, and then
It is. There is a company over here in the UK called Eve Wrestling now. Actually, Will Ospreay from AEW, he produces some of the stuff. But and it is an all women show. over here. It's based in London, so there's a place called Walthamstow in London, which is near where I grew up, and yeah, they run women's only, and it is abs. I've never actually been, full disclosure, but yet only because work commitments. But I'm going to get down there to a show because it looks absolutely phenomenal, and yeah, that is something really good. I want to go and see one of those shows.
Oh, that's cool. Like an all women's show. That's actually pretty cool.
It is. It's called Pro Wrestling Eve, so everyone can go and Google that if you want. But
There's
Ruthie,
not
look,
that many in the States, yeah.
yes, oh, no, not quite in there. But Ruthie, as we start to wrap up now, what is in your immediate future? What have you got coming up? Where are you appearing? Where are we going to witness the five-star athlete in action?
Well, let me see. Next Saturday, I will be in Doral to wrestle at CCW. Let's see. After that, I will be in California at the end of the month to wrestle. Where am I wrestling in? I am so sorry. I do not have a calendar in front
That's
of
all
me.
right.
I do know what I'm doing next week, though. But May 31st, I will be in California to wrestle.
There you go, everyone. Watch that. And then, Ruthie, look, last thing before we start wrapping up, if you are available for bookings, and I'm sure that you are while you're not signing the contract, where can people get in contact, sorry, with you to start getting you booked for some shows?
Yes. You can contact me through my email at Ruthie J. Wait, let me see. Ruthie J A Outlook. Yeah, okay. Ruthie J A at Outlook.com. Or you can find me on Instagram at Ruthie underscore all underscore smiles. You can find me on Twitter at Superior Queen, or you can find me on Facebook at Ruthie J.
There you go. Make sure that you get that five-star athlete on your shows because if you haven't seen her in action, when you do, you're never letting her leave. That's for sure. From my time. But Ruthie, look, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us over here in jolly old England. We hope to see you over here in the
I would
future
love to go. Yes, let it happen.
in the show. And we wish you nothing but success, and we will look forward to see where you end up at your next contract.
Thank you. Get a shirt.
Get a shirt. Where can I get those?
You have to contact me. It's through me right now. Pro Wrestling Tees is being difficult.
Contact Ruthie Jay for a five-star shirt from a five-star athlete. But guys, we've run out of time here on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We'll be back next week with some more interviews. But until then, from the five-star athlete Ruthie Jay, I've been your host Adam Cousins. Buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.